Welcome to the Living in Utah live question and answer session here Thursday evening, 8 p.m. Mountain Time. It's an open forum. You're welcome to ask whatever questions you would like. If you want to talk about the state of Utah, maybe you're joining us from another country and you want to talk about the United States in general, I'd be glad to answer any kind of questions like that. If you want to talk about real estate, stock market, Forex trading, you name it, always game for conversation. So tonight, I was going to talk about Major League Baseball. So there's a little buzz about Utah possibly, or let's just say trying to get Major League Baseball to the state. There's a new article that just came out. And the article states that the Major League Baseball expansion process could begin pretty shortly. So it seems as if Major League Baseball is looking to expand. First of all, they want to get the Oakland A's and the Tampa Bay Rays settled into their new locations. And then they are going to look at expanding baseball teams. Utah has a proposal to put their name in the hat to possibly be one of the teams. And I have no idea where they would even stand, where they would rank with other cities, et cetera, et cetera. I can tell you that the drive is being made by the Larry Miller Company. If you're in the state of Utah, or if you ever come to the state of Utah, you will see a lot of car dealerships with the Larry Miller name. Larry Miller himself passed away many years ago and was the owner of the Utah Jazz. So the family has been in the sports business before, the car business. They still have their name on the car dealerships, but they sold all the car dealerships to another company. And this happened about a year ago. They also sold the Jazz about a year or two ago also. But they're putting it all together, the package together. And one more thing about, Larry Miller, you'll see the Larry Miller stuff. Larry Miller started back in the 70s, I want to say. His first purchase was a Toyota dealership. And from there, he built dealerships throughout the state of Utah and many other states. I've heard he's in a variety of states. So Mr. Miller is an individual who built the business from the ground up. Very, very successful. In the 80s, somewhere in the 80s, he bought the Utah Jazz. They were located in New Orleans, I believe, and he moved it to Salt Lake City. And I think he only owned a percentage of the Jazz at the time. And then later down the road, he bought the remaining percentage of the Jazz, something like that. Story goes something like that. So the Larry Miller Group is putting together the package to try to get Major League Baseball. And it's not just, they're just, hey, would you consider us? Here's our application, or however Major League Baseball does it. They have already secured land to build a Major League Baseball stadium. So they are laying the groundwork with Major League Baseball to basically say, hey, here's our application, but we're ready. We have land, and probably, I would assume they've got drawings and everything that's needed to build a stadium. So, and they're familiar with construction. They also own, they've developed homes, et cetera, et cetera. The arena that the Jazz play in right now, Larry Miller built that. That was not taxpayer money. It was built by Larry Miller himself. He funded the project. So he has experience in big buildings and et cetera, et cetera. So anyways, so Utah is putting their name in for Major League Baseball. So the only one thing that is in the back of my mind when you're looking at expansion for baseball, we have a team. There's a team in Denver, the Colorado Rockies. Now the Oakland A's are moving to Las Vegas. So we have baseball in this region now. At one time, we just had the Colorado Rockies. Now we have the Oakland A's moving to Las Vegas. So we'll have two teams in the region, plus Arizona. So I don't know if that's going to be a negative maybe for Major League Baseball. Maybe they feel that this section of the United States is supported by baseball enough. I don't know. It's one of the questions I'm sure that will pop up. I do know that Salt Lake City is a great market. It's a TV market because it's a growing market. So in the article, there are some other teams or some other cities that would also like to put their name in the hat. And that would be Nashville, Tennessee, Portland, Oregon, Orlando, Charlotte, North Carolina, Montreal, Canada, San Antonio, Texas, are also cities that would like to possibly acquire a team. On that list, I would imagine San Antonio that's a very big growing market, very, very big growing market. So my guess would be that Major League Baseball would take some serious consideration with San Antonio. Nashville is also a big market. So that's another big market. Portland, Oregon, a little on the fence about that. I personally think there's a lot of problems in Portland right now. I feel a lot of people are moving out of Portland at the moment. So Orlando, I'm not as familiar with, or Charlotte or Montreal, Canada. So, but, Montreal, Canada is a big area. So Major League Baseball may look at that. So that's the news for Utah. They're pushing hard. They are going to do everything they can to possibly bring Major League Baseball to the state of Utah. Something else popped up this week too. I had a conversation. Somebody was asking about the interest rates, and interest rates have been climbing, and where are we going? And I stated, a month, 2 months ago, the numbers were looking pretty good. The key numbers that the Federal Reserve was looking at was looking good. And at the last meeting, the Fed decided not to raise interest rates, but they are still keeping the idea on the table. Then last week, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this huge job growth. They look at how many jobs were added. Non-farm jobs is what they call it, were added to the economy, and their estimate was the actual number was double what they anticipated. The Federal Reserve, by raising interest rates, is trying to slow the economy down. And when you slow the economy down and slow consumer spending down, typically, job creation and job losses usually come along with it. So now we're in a little bit of a bag of worms, because last week we had what you would consider bad news, and the Fed basically came out, or the experts came out and said that we probably will have rate increases to get the numbers under control. Well, guess what? Today we had new numbers released. Yesterday and today there was a variety of numbers. Yesterday was CPI, Consumer Price Index. Today was unemployment rate. Those numbers were looking fantastic. Those numbers were coming down. Inflation is coming down. The numbers were looking good for what the Fed is looking for. So it's kind of a mixed bag of information. And honestly, I'm not too sure if the Fed knows what they're really doing. I think we're in uncharted waters. We're in a time where we haven't really seen this in the past. And how did we get here? Well, it mostly happened during COVID. Everything got shut down. Businesses were shut down. You name it. It was all shut down. So the government knew that when you're shutting down the economy, or you have the economy only open a little, you're shutting restaurants, gyms, etc., they need to stimulate the economy. And by doing so, they pumped money into the economy in the tune of somewhere around about $4 trillion. So it's a big number, 4 trillion. I mean, give or take a million here, a million there, but it was roughly $4 trillion. Some people think that the Federal Reserve was sitting there just printing money, printing $100 bills. No, it'd probably take a long time to print $4 trillion. This happens overnight. Literally, they wire the money to banks in exchange for a note that is due and payable. So it happens that quick. So then banks had all this money at their disposal, and they have to make a decision. What do we do with all this money? Well, let's go out and get more loans. Let's make money off of this money. And the competition leads to lower rates, more money to more people buying for not only mortgages, but car loans, credit cards, personal loans, you name it, boat loans, RV loans, ATV loans. So the banks had money to loan out, and interest rates all came down. So now the Federal Reserve, the government, is trying to reverse course, to which when you do that and you have people record, I drive by an RV dealership and the inventory was almost nothing. It was just gone and people were buying everything they could. So that leads to higher inflation. And that's where we're at today, higher inflation. And where are we going? It's anyone's guess. I don't think the Federal Reserve really knows. I mean, the numbers were looking good until last week. Then boom, we got which I think is great news. We added jobs. I love it when we add jobs, but the Fed's not looking to add jobs. They're looking to slow the economy down. So we could, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, because last week the experts were saying, well, they'll probably raise interest rates in July or August. But now with the numbers that came out this week, you're going, what they've done so far by raising the rates has brought the inflation numbers. It's all coming down. And that's what they were trying to do. So it's definitely a complex situation. And I'm not too sure I have the answers, but, or maybe even the government doesn't have the answers. So, but this is happening worldwide. We're very, very fortunate in the United States. I think, and there's not all countries have this, the fixed rate mortgage or fixed rate car loan. So on the mortgage side, and I'm not too sure on the car loans in some countries, but on the mortgage side, you take out a loan in the United States, so say it's a 30-year or 15-year fixed rate mortgage, your payment will stay the same that whole period. Boom. Well, your actual payment will change because they also withhold for insurance and property taxes, and insurance and property taxes seem to always go up. So your payment technically does go up, but your portion that goes to the mortgage payment stays the same for that duration of that loan, unless you refinance it or make changes to it. Well, a lot of countries, that's not availability. In the UK, I follow a lot of the world news. In the UK, they have variable rates. That's pretty much standard. Now, they do have fixed rate mortgages, but it's for a short period of time, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. And then, so you could take a fixed rate right now and it'll last you X amount of years, 2, 3, 4 years. It's not 30 years. And then at the end of that, you have to make the decision. Do you just want to go back to a variable? Do you want to lock into another fixed rate mortgage? But so, it's not as nice as what we have in the United States. That's the bottom line. And there was an article in the UK papers this week that the average household is seeing their payment go up somewhere, well, it was 400 to 600 pounds. That'd be about $500 to $700 per month, $500 to $700 per month on average, on the average mortgage. And there are a lot of countries in Europe that I believe Canada is very similar. I might be wrong about Canada, but they are experiencing not only inflation in the stores, but inflation with their mortgage. So, or their mortgage, their payments going up. So they're getting the double whammy. Food prices are up, car insurance is up, their mortgage payment is up. In the United States, people who have a fixed rate mortgage, that has stayed the same. But we do have higher grocery prices and electricity and car payments and car insurance, et cetera, et cetera. So, but we are very lucky in the United States. I think we're very lucky in the United States. And also, where else? So you have a 30-year mortgage. Say it's 7%, 10%. Rate goes down to 3%. In the United States, you can refinance and get that 3% loan. The banks don't say, no, you signed an agreement for 30 years at 10%. We're sticking you to that particular rate. No, you can actually do a refinance and bring the rate down. It's, I think it's a great system. We're very, very fortunate to have a financial system like that. So don't let the cat out of the bag. Don't let the politicians know that. They might change all that. Something's good, they like to change it. Any more questions this evening? As I kind of go off on a tangent a little bit, but yes, this economy that we're seeing in the United States, around the world is also seeing very, very similar higher prices across the border, across the all items. So it's and I feel that we're in the thick of the recession a little bit here. There was a report out that Disney World is their summer ticket purchases, the amount of people coming to the parks has decreased. Now, some of that could be because of some of the political issues that are going on, like in the state of Florida, maybe people are boycotting it a little bit. Personally, I don't think so. If you got kids and they want to go to Disney World, you're going to go. That's how I feel. You're going to go unless you can't afford to go. Then you're going to say, hey, we're not going this year. We'll go next year. But because of political things that are going on with the Governor DeSantis and Disney World, I don't think it's probably stopping a lot of people. Well, Utahns care about baseball. That's a good question. I'm going to say yes. And the only reason I say yes is because well, number one, as a state in general, what has attracted some people to the state is outdoor activities. So whether it's going to a baseball game, going to a college football game, hiking, mountain bike, etc., people are attracted to that with the state of Utah. We get great turnout to the Utah Jazz. We get great turnout to college football. So with those numbers that we currently have, I think we will get turnout to baseball. Now, the flip side of that is depends what kind of team. So if the team sucks, I would imagine turnout will drop off. So the Jazz, we had some years where the Jazz, their record wasn't that great and attendance did drop off. But now it's right back up there. A lot of attendance for the basketball. So, and when you go to the college football games and some of the college basketball games, same way there, it's well attended. So I think baseball will be okay in the state, but we also have, you also notice that it also brings people from the surrounding states. So like Wyoming and Idaho. I've known people over the years that will travel from Wyoming and Idaho to come to a Jazz game, even come to college football games. So, but with the football, a little difference because they do have Boise, which is a big powerhouse up there in Boise, the Boise Broncos. So they're well attended up there. But people will come down and watch a game or two of the Jazz from out of state, probably not season ticket holders, et cetera, but you do get some attendance. So I think with baseball being in the summer months, that it will attract some of the out of state people, maybe some people from Wyoming and some people from Idaho down that would like to see some professional baseball. Any more questions this evening before I call it a night? It's, we're in the thick of summer right now. Northern Utah, temperatures in the upper 90s. Southern Utah, closer to 110 degree temperatures. So a little toasty. This in July, it's known. This is, I think in Northern Utah, when I saw the weather last, I think the average temperature is 94 degrees this time of year. So we're right now about 97, 98. So we're right there, just above average a little bit. But doesn't bother me a whole lot. In the afternoon, gets a little bit warm, but it's a dry heat, so I'm not complaining. So, okay, I'm going to call it night. I will be back again next week. Thank you, everyone.